So who am I talking with?
I'm David with Allocate.ai.
And what is Allocate?
Allocate, I like to say Allocate is what your kids would use if they had to track time and log billable hours.
That'd be scary. And how did you get into this?
Yeah, so actually
You're not a lawyer, are you?
I'm not a lawyer. I hope I've never become one.
Right.
I got started actually from the technical side. I studied statistics at Stanford, and I got interested in time tracking for all purposes. We actually originally started with time tracking for agency workers, creatives that were horrible at filling out their time.
Yep.
And we took a class actually at Stanford called Lean Launchpad with Steve Blank, Jeff Epstein, and a couple other guys, and kind of tested out the business viability through the Lean methodology. And through the course, we realized that we really were onto something. People really hated time tracking, and then the rest is history.
Yeah, it's not just in law. My CTO is a fanatic.
Yeah.
And then to study what prevents people from tracking, what gets people to track, and you start to come up with ticketing systems that reward people based on for how great they did on timing and responses and whatever. Right. So that causes them to push a button.
Well, there's the carrot, but there's also the stick, which I actually have heard of. Some law firms have been withholding bonuses from lawyers for if they haven't had their time in.
They would, and the other, you probably have heard it, but it's been a long time since I practiced law, and even longer when I was marketing time versus doing plaintiff's contingency work. But you'd sit there at the end of the day, and you just have a bunch of names written down, at best.
Right.
And then when post-it notes, you just break all these notes. And everybody thinks they're doing really well, and invariably they're way under mark. Under mark.
I think that's the kind of. I think clients of lawyers think that they're overbilling them for things, but in actuality, lawyers are probably underbilling people. They're forgetting about things. They're letting time slip through the cracks, and that's where we help out.
So you're sitting there, and you're taking this course. You have this interest in tracking time. Then what? So it wasn't like a company just started that minute.
No, what definitely happened? Not. So what we did was actually in our final presentation for the class, a VC from a VC called Pair VC came up to us and said, hey, you guys should apply for our summer founders program. This is a great idea. And so we did. They accepted us. We got a small check of $25K to work for this summer. We worked with them for this summer. And then
not trivial though.
Not trivial.
$25K when you actually don't have any.
That was huge for us at this time. We were like, oh my God, we made it. No.
Right.
But that really gave us the fuel to really start it full time after graduating from Stanford. To give it, all the credit it deserves.
Who's we?
So Eric and I, my co-founder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you guys meet at Stanford then?
We met at Stanford.
Okay.
So we actually met, playing tennis at Stanford. Yeah.
So on this presentation that you did in class, VCCs, was that law related or just time tracking?
That was that was just time tracking, actually more geared towards, that was an information gathering class. We were interviewing lawyers, ad agencies, other people. But actually one of our advisors and investors, Tom Bedecker, founded AKQA. And so we were actually thinking we would go in more in the agency direction, but now we're finding a lot of pull for lawyers.
So that was what year?
That was late 2015, 2016.
Okay. So you got this thing, you got $25,000 check.
Yep.
Now you're going to go out and use that $25,000 for what?
Yeah, so almost all product development, developing the AI to help lawyers classify their time and track every billable minute, to continue talking to more people. That's the Lean methodology. Just go get out of the building and talk to people and understand how they want these systems to work.
So when you say for the development, to get other people to help or to pay you guys to do it?
So we got some help, so an engineer to help us out. But I'll also have enough technical knowledge to be dangerous. And I was actually writing the AI myself, the AI and the machine learning.
Okay.
And Eric was doing a lot of the growth hacking and marketing to just get the word out. And we grew a wait list for the product of 3,000-4,000 people who are really interested in the product. Product didn't fully come out for a whole year after that, but we validated that people wanted this.
What was he doing to get the word out?
So this is, I don't know how kosher this is, but we were scraping websites. We're trying to find people for their email addresses.
The directories have been built that way.
Yeah.
Those huge directories have been built by scraping content off bar sites and then writing code that recognizes if there's a change at the law firm website. So you're basically scraping data all the time.
Scraping data. We would cold call people. I love to show up to conferences and just talk to lots of people. And just kind of just putting yourself, I think the in-person dynamic, that's why I love ClioCon, is I can just go up to people, show them the product, and then they love, and really get that validation.
So now we're sitting here and it's ready to go out the door. When was that?
So
you probably just said it and I didn't listen closely.
Our legal product with Clio started actually this year. So in May we started the integration.
Are you running the other verticals too? When you say you have a legal product,
we have a legal product. We have an agency product, and we have time tracking. But we also have resource management. So it kind of goes hand in hand with time tracking. So you want to track your time, but you also want to plan your time. And it's kind of this yin-yang situation where you can plan it and then see how you did against those plans. And that's more for the agency consultancy side of things.
So have you had to grow beyond just the two of you guys?
So we have engineer. We have actually an augmented workforce where we're working with contractors who are much lower cost, but same if not better skill level and experience level. Yeah.
Bring on as needed.
And bring on it and scales up and scales down as needed. And expertise. Maybe one guy is great for back end stuff, and we can really work with him, or we can go shift to someone else. And I think you probably see a lot of startups doing that, where an engineer in San Francisco costs $130,000, $40,000 a year. Half the price if you go somewhere else.
It's tough. I mean, we're in Seattle. I mean, it's not inexpensive.
Yeah, absolutely.
But everybody wants to come there, but it's the same with San Francisco. How many customers do you have today between the legal and everything else?
About 200 to 300 and growing. And we probably add a lot from this conference alone.
That's good.
Yeah.
So with the conference, you guys have a booth here, or you're just walking around?
I'm just walking around guerrilla style, talking to people at lunch, breakfast.
They're asking you, what do you do?
And they ask me, what do I do? And then they all said, actually, we had one person offer me their firstborn child for our software. I said, no, but you can sign up.
What's your software cost?
It costs, first we started at $25 a month. Lawyers didn't even blink at it.
No, they shouldn't.
And they just started paying for the year, so we doubled it. So now it's $60 a month, or $59 a month when you pay for the month. $49 when you pay for the year in advance, and then Clio we're giving a 15% discount.
Where do you guys envision this all going? I mean, you don't know. I mean, you're coming into it probably, for some extent, the longer you go in life and the more businesses you start, the more problems you see.
Yeah.
You guys don't see those because
right.
You just started this thing right out of school.
Yeah.
Where do you see this thing 2, 3, 4 years from now?
Yeah, so we see us bringing machine learning and artificial intelligence to just antiquated work processes throughout different verticals, especially in professional services. So time tracking is one, but we could see it.
Tell me what that means. I mean, I interrupt you, but when you're saying bringing AI into time tracking, what does that mean?
So for us, what it means is there's two components to this. One is capturing the data, right? So
the work product.
Yeah, so you're trying to capture all the time, right? Okay. And so we capture time spent on meetings, in emails, drafting documents, all that stuff. And that's just the data capture. And the machine learning is actually what's classifying those events. Those activities so that you don't actually have to use some drag, drop down and manual processes. So it's basically, using human intelligence that eliminates the need for humans to have to do that themselves.
To be able to identify what they are. And
it's faster, it's more accurate, it's easier for them to use.
Have you done this all through the bootstrapping, or have you had to raise money now?
So we actually raised a kind of pre-seed round at the end of 2016. So that was a more substantial check that really allowed us to go for it longer.
I mean, you're in college, and Stanford is a unique place, in that you're going to have a higher percentage of people that go off and do something crazy, like call their parents and say, "I'm going to start a company on what?" Well, we don't hardly have any money, but we'll get by somehow.
Yeah,
and I'm sure people's parents are thinking, "My God, they wasted their degree."
It was better than when I was doing economics research about the Neolithic transition in college.
No, but I mean, back then, I mean, I remember my parents were mad that I wanted to take a year off between undergrad and law school so I could work in a lumber yard. And I was happy that I had a job for $5 an hour. But what would you tell somebody that is in school like you were, and you're starting to realize these opportunities that might be out there, maybe they're not.
Yeah.
A lot of risk.
Yeah.
But
I think I would say just go for it. I personally would rather add value and build my own human capital, my own business, than provide it for someone else's business. I think when you're starting a company, you have such higher marginal value, right? And you're producing all that. The other thing I would say is I've learned trial by fire. I've grown so much through this process from everything that I'm doing.
About 6 MBAs.
Yeah, I feel like I've gotten at least 6 MBAs, and now I'm CEO of a company. Never would have thought that was what I was doing. I was also felt incapable of working for someone else at a certain point, I mean, I would say do it. It's not for the faint of heart. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of, you can't really slack off at any moment. I haven't taken a vacation more than a day or two off in 3 years.
Welcome to the world.
So, but all the reward goes to you. It's high risk, but extremely high reward.
What if people want to find out more about the company? What's the domain?
Yeah, so legal. So if you're a lawyer, go to legal.allocate.ai. Or search Allocate Legal. Right. Otherwise, just Allocate time tracking. So it's allocate.ai. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Cool. Nice to meet you.
Likewise.